about the New York Islanders. Is it time for a rebuild? So first of all, at the time of taping, just to be clear here, the Rangers are doing since we did that taping, which has been some time ago. It's funny people watch stuff from 3-4 months ago, and then they call us out and look at the Rangers record. Are you crazy? Well, the Rangers didn't have that record. We recorded it. They weren't doing that well. Since then, I don't think they've lost a game in the last 2 months, so it seems. But shockingly, the Leafs and the Rangers have the same amount of points at 98 points. So kudos to the Rangers for waking up. Zach woke them up. The Islanders are my disappointing team. The Rangers were Zach's disappointing team. So the Rangers responded. Are you still disappointed with the Rangers, Zach?
No, not anymore. Like I'm disappointed for what they did. There's no reason that they should have been as bad as they were. And for I don't know whether it's Patrick Kane and the fact that he's probably the best American-born hockey player ever, walking into their room and saying, "This is how it is. This is how it's going to be, and y'all better listen to me," because maybe that's it. But no, they're fantastic now. They're firing on all cylinders as they should have always been. So I think that goaltending has definitely gotten a little bit better too, because he was having a rough time there. But not disappointed in them anymore. I drafted half their team in my fantasy. I was all in on the Rangers, so I'm still am now.
The Islanders are sitting at 87 points at this time of taping, and not bad. But it's funny when I say they were my disappointing team because I expect to see them in first, not around third or so. And you look at the record, it seems like everybody's got 87 points. Like, what the heck is... You look at the standings in the West and the East. In the East, you got 3 teams right now that are barely under 500. You got the West, where 4 teams are under 500. Is like every single game going to overtime? Like, what the heck is going on here? Like, Zach, this whole thing about overtime and shootouts and points, I think we need to go back to a win is a win and a loss is a loss. Not this 1 point, 2 point crap. Like, seriously.
I'm with you. Moral victories don't count. You win or you lose. There's no in between.
But in all the NHL, it seems like there's basically only like 7 teams which are actually crappy. Everybody else is getting by. And
those
doing
7
well.
teams are really, really, really crappy. No, there's a lot of parity. I think it's nice. I think you have, the top tier, which is Boston, which is just kicking the what out of everybody. Carolina, which for whatever reason beats great teams like the Leafs or Boston or even the Rangers now, but then they'll lose to Columbus. So I don't know what the hell's going on with them, but they're up there, and the Leafs and New Jersey, right? And Tampa. Well, Tampa's a juggernaut again. They had a rough start to the year as well. They're the other half of my fantasy team, but they're in second gear now, really, really just cruising. So
it's going to be scary come playoff time for certain. So, as
I think
promised,
the Leafs are going to take them.
Still thinking the Leafs are getting out of the first. I agree that I think they're getting out of the first round this year. I agree with you.
Yeah,
I agree with that. So we got a few fans here. They're go. They want to give us their comments, so let's get to it. We got Zam. I guess that's kind of a name.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Did this guy say the Isles goaltender is just above average? Lost all credibility there." So between Sorokin and Varlamov, I think that both of them have nice numbers, no doubt there. But I think it's Sorokin he's talking about, and he's having a nice season for certain. A lot of goaltenders are having very nice seasons. Like Zach, when I was a youngster back in my day, okay, and you had the Grant Fuhrs. Remember Grant Fuhr? Reading about him in history class.
Oh yeah, I loved reading about that Edmonton Oilers team.
Guess what? A 3.3 goals against used to get you a Vezina. You know what it gets you now? You're out of a job.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I don't know what happened, but everybody seems to have a 2 goals against. So I think that, to me, as a statistician, that is very, very misleading. So Sorokin's got nice numbers. They got a good amount of wins. But to me, I actually will agree with you on that one. Do I think of him honestly as an elite goaltender? Is this guy going to steal all my games? Is he going to pull a Binnington? I don't see that, but I think he's a very good goaltender. Is it fair to say still above average?
Yeah, I think when I said above average, I don't think the context was that he's just above average, like he's just an okay goaltender. I think it was more that he's not an elite goaltender, right? So, we can say just above average is anywhere between being, plus 500 goalie, somebody who's definitely going to win you games, good goaltender. But, when I think of elite goaltenders, it's like you said, I think of a goalie who's going to steal you a game. I think of the fact that Carey Price, however he did it, carried the horrible Montreal Canadiens to the Stanley Cup final, right? Like that's what I think about. I think of Andre Vasilevsky stealing a series for Tampa, and I'm going to say it. I don't care what anybody says. The Leafs should have won their series last year. It is the only time in playoff history over the last 5 years, whatever it is for Tampa, where they've been the absolute juggernaut they are, where they were outshot and outscored in a series. And the only reason they won is because Vasilevsky decided to steal that series for them. As good as, Varlamov is, which whatever. He's really the backup. But as good as the Islanders in general, let's just say their goaltending is, they're not stealing series. They're a defensive team that's great for them. They're a defensive team in general. I'm happy for them. I think that they do a great job defending. But I don't think that they're going to be, the team that steals anything. And I don't think Sorokin is going to be that guy. He's just, maybe he will be, but at 150 games, it's like I said, it's hard to say. Steal a series, do what Jonathan Quick did, whatever it was, 10, 15 years ago when the Kings went not back. Did they go back to back? I think they went one on, one off, one on the Stanley Cup.
I don't think it was back to back.
Yeah. Do what they did. Do what Tim Thomas did in Boston. Like Tim Thomas by no means was a legendary goalie, but he stole series for them with Boston. Like that's what I want to see.
I was gonna ask you why Quick was not on his way to Toronto, and when I sat in Vegas and I saw live the Flames and Golden Knights, and the Flames won that game 7-2 or 8-2. I had my answer of why Jonathan Quick is not the answer. That was brutal.
Jonathan Quick is considered one of the biggest divas in the NHL. The guy, I met him in New York, asked him to sign an autograph, and he looked me directly in the eyes. This is when I was a kid. Looked me directly in the eyes and just walked away. And I was just like, wow, okay. I get the type of person you are right now. And you can see by the whole situation of him getting traded to Vegas that the guy is full class diva. He thinks he's better than he is.
Well, through Columbus, obviously, he never actually ended up in Columbus, but he was a passageway into Vegas. And I thought, well, I actually thought that was a great pickup for them. I guess I was wrong on that one.
Yeah, he's another one. If he turns it on, he can steal you a series. But he hasn't shown that in a few years, let's say.
Next person, we got Rob G. Rob G writes in, the Islanders made it to the finals 2 years in a row, missed the playoffs last year, and are still one of the best defensive teams in the league. Not to mention Brock Nelson, Matt Barzal, and Sorokin, superstar and one of the best goalies in the league by far.
Okay, so who's this? Rob G?
Rob G.
Rob G likes to live in the past. Moral victories are great, Rob G. You know how many people remember second place? Nobody does. Let me put it this way for you. Sorokin is not a bad goalie. He's not a bad goalie, okay? But he needs to steal you series, which he has not. When you play on a team that is coached by Barry Trotz, who was one of the most best defensive coaches in the NHL, and I know he's not there anymore, but he was, right? We're talking about, a team that is built to not let you score, right? Like the Islanders don't go out there and go, okay, let's see how many goals we can get. They go out there and say, let's see how many shots we can limit on net. Let's see how we can reduce high scoring chances. That's the game they play, which I respect because when I coached, that's one of the ways that I coached my teams. Okay. We want to make sure that they don't get any high scoring chances. They don't enter our house, that little house looking figure within the offensive zone. I'm with you, but the Islanders are not what they once were. I think as good as Lamoriello is, he's missing the boat on the type of team that he needs to build around some of the core players that he has. I think bringing Horvat in was a no-brainer. The guy's all-class, all-star. I don't think Anders Lee is as great as everyone thinks he is. I think the guy's a unit, 6'3", 250 pounds, whatever he is. He's a thick, strong man. But, as far as game breakers, they don't have any. They don't have somebody out there who's going to take the game by the horns and say, this is my game. Sorokin won't do it. Barzell can't do it. Horvat, I don't think he can do it either. Anders Lee surely cannot do that. Okay. So not even any of their defensemen. Okay. You watch Tampa Bay play. There are some games where Victor Hedman will say, this is my team, my game. You're not getting past me and my 70-foot wingspan. So, they don't have that. So until they have that, they're not an all-star team. And they can putter around and say, oh, well, we're a good team. We're a good team. First of all, they're not beating the elite teams. They're not beating the Bostons, the Tampas, even the Leafs, the New Jerseys. They're not. So keep trying, but it's not going to happen.
Sorry, Rob G on that one. We time for a couple more, Zach?
Mm-hmm.
All right. We got JP. So again, this is the episode where we had the clip and talk about is it time for the Islanders for rebuild? JP, I will preface that by saying I haven't watched this yet. I hope you've watched it by now, JP. But the answer is yes, in capitals. They do. And the answer is also it's already likely way too late to start. They totally beep after this year ends. Watch again in about 29 to 30 after this season is over. That's how badly they've been mismanaged. Enjoy your toilet bowl 8th seed and getting completely demolished in the first round by Boston. Huh?
So I think he's supporting that the Islanders need to be rebuilt.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, I agree with him. I think it's a waste of time.
I don't think they're as bad as JP put them to be, but
no, but it's like, listen, it's if you're not contending, right? If you can't go out there on any given night and say we can win this game, no problem, right? Or even to an extent saying I know we can. It may be some difficulty, but I know we can. Then what is the point? Nashville was in a similar position to the Islanders were. Okay, good team, defensively strong. Pecorine is a stud, right? Like they were in a similar position. And last year they were in a similar position too. And this year they said, forget about it. They said, even if we finish 8th, we are not pulling what the Kings did. We're not going from the 8th seed to win the Stanley Cup. We're just not. Okay. Nobody on our team can compete against the Boston, the Tampas, even New Jerseys right now. The Leafs, they can't do that. The Carolinas, right? They're not going to beat those teams. So you might as well fold in and get some assets out of it. You got players on expiring contracts. Why are we giving up draft picks for players, who are on 1-year deals or, buying a UFA like they did Horvat? They re-signed Horvat, so good for them, but could have just signed him in free agency as well instead of giving up picks for him. So I don't get it. I think they should have rebuilt too.
In my opinion, respectfully, I'm with you. I could see one of two ways. And this is a lot of the discussion came around the Connor Bedard sweepstakes, right? What is the point of being a middle of the road team? Like you're constantly around 500. You're maybe going to make the playoffs. And this is any sport now. I'm going to preface this could be any sport whatsoever. He's prefacing, I'm prefacing, we're all prefacing. But any sport, if you could be 500 and you're going to kind of make the playoffs, and then almost guaranteed you're going to bounce in the first round, what's the point? I think you're either going to be total garbage or be the best. Don't want to be in the middle. If you find you can't be the best, break it all down, start again. Doesn't work out, break it all down. But some of these teams that just are constantly 500 average for their existence, it bugs the bejeebers out of me. And I know some markets, they won't allow these rebuilds, but too bad. That's the way it's got to be. If you look at any of the top elite, especially in NHL right now, you take a look at Tampa, you take a look at the Leafs. Guess what? They were garbage for quite a while till they got their footing. New Jersey, ugh, and I didn't see them coming this quickly, by the way. So kudos for them. But you don't get a million first-round picks and very high first-round picks unless you've been very bad for a while. And one of them generally won't do it for you. You need to get a few of them together. It's not like the NBA where you can draft one person, they can do your whole team. You actually have to have a few players together. Look at imagine Crosby, Malkin on almost any team. You put those two together, but it takes time to get first overall picks, and a lot of things have to hit off for you. So Thank you, JP, for sharing your message. We're going to end this one today with Joseph DeVito. Joseph was not content with one comment. Joseph needed 2 comments, but they're very, very short. Joseph is just a man of few words. Obviously, these guys don't watch hockey. I don't know how that's obvious, but so if you disagree with me on my point of view, that means you know nothing about it and you definitely don't watch it, because if you did, you'd only agree with me.
Yeah,
Don't know,
exactly.
don't know about that, Joseph. Next, what is this guy even talk? What is this guy even talk about the Rangers? And there's no punctuation here. Have not been around 500 since like November. Is that even this? I don't know if that's grammatically even the thing, but okay. So we've established that when you're recording and you're watching, that things, circumstances change. The second the Rangers saw that comment that they were disappointed to Zach, they said, we're going to show Zach, and then we're going to get his boy Patrick Kane because he's been touting him all year. So you lit some sort of fire under the Rangers there, Zach, and they're well
Got
off
under
because of
their
what you
skin.
said.
Yep, got a little bit under their skin. So they should be well off. They're a deep team, man. Their defense are beautiful. Their goaltending should be flawless. So the Rangers, and most of all, I love their coaching. Right? They have Gerard Gallant. Okay,
They're
Gerard
oh, of
Gallant.
course, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny how we have this carousel. Like at the end of the year, they put all the coaches on the carousel, and you just pick up one, and because they're so interchangeable. Like Flyers with Tortorella, he's only been coaching like what 20 teams.
Yeah, exactly. He'll
Gallant
be
was,
done soon too.
but you notice also a pattern with these coaches, right? They come in, immediate impact. The message wears thin pretty quickly. They only
Yeah.
have a certain life shelf. They're not going to put up with them for much longer.
No, exactly. They want to win. They're in win now mode. I think Gerard Gallant's a really good coach. I think he did a really good job with Vegas too. So I have high hopes for the Rangers, especially because they have an easier path to get through than let's just say it. They have an easier path to get through than the Leafs playing Tampa and then playing Boston. Like, come on.